Hey, welcome to Second Run Gaming. I'm Austin, and we are playing Dragon Age Origins. For anybody who doesn't know, Dragon Age Origins is my favorite game of all time, and I guess we're here to see if that still stands the test of time. I played it way back in 2009 when it came out, got it for Christmas, beat it in between Christmas and New Year's, fell in love with it, played it I think 4 or 5 full playthroughs after that as well. I played the shit out of this about a decade ago. And since then, I think the last time I've gone through and fully played through was maybe 2014 or 15. So it's been quite a while. I'm curious to see how I feel about it. Since it is holding the coveted title of Numero Uno, followed closely by Mass Effect 2. But something about Dragon Age Origins in particular is always just kind of really hit me in the sweet spot. I think it's just because it's an ode to like older RPGs, and it also has that fantasy D&D type of vibe. So honestly, I'm the target audience for this. So we're gonna start with a new game. Naturally, we're gonna select our background. We've got 6 different options if anybody hasn't played Dragon Age before, and let's get into it.
The Chantry teaches us that it is the hubris of men which brought the Darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the Darkspawn. They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The Dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall, and from the deep roads, the Darkspawn drove at us again and again, until finally we neared annihilation. Until the Grey Wardens came. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness and prevail. It has been 4 centuries since that victory, and we have kept our vigil. We have watched and waited for the Darkspawn to return. But those who once called us heroes have forgotten. We are few now, and our warnings have been ignored for too long. May even be too late. For I have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all.
So yeah, That was the opening cutscene for Dragon Age, and something that I'm going to do for this playthrough just because, I guess for immersion's sake, is for most of the cutscenes, especially big ones like that, I'm not really going to talk. I'm just going to let us watch it. I've played it a bunch, so I don't necessarily need to watch it again, but one of the big things as to why I wanted to do a playthrough of Dragon Age is just because even though it's a really great game and the story and the writing is superb, it is an older 360 title. And as far as 360 games go, since it was an homage to older RPGs in the first place, it's pretty dated. And a lot of the feedback that I've heard from just friends that hadn't played Dragon Age when it first came out, but had wanted to in the past, is just that trying to get into it now is really difficult if you don't have a nostalgic tie to it already. So I figured this way, I'll play it since I love it, and anybody who wants to play Dragon Age but doesn't necessarily want to slog through the archaic combat can just watch it along with me and deal with the consequences of all the choices that I'm going to make that you would probably make differently. So first and foremost, we're going to make our character. We can choose between male and female. A tough call. I really should have thought about this whole process before I started recording, but we're here and I gotta pick. I am gonna go female, and I'm gonna do an elf. So there's 3 different races. You can be human, elf, or dwarf. I know I picked through that one pretty damn quickly. The gender doesn't matter too much. I mean, it can impact some romance choices. But outside of that, it's really just how, characters treat you in the world. As far as the race, though, that does have a difference even just on your background to begin with. So with the human, there are 2 backgrounds. We'll get into that in a second. Same with the elf and same with the dwarf. For a first playthrough, especially if you're first watching this for the first time, one of the backgrounds in the Elven storyline is my personal favorite, and I think kind of fits the Dragon Age canon the most, so we're probably going to go with that one. As far as combat, I think I'm going to rock with a rogue. I've played it through on every single class, and in my opinion, the mage class is amazing in future installments of Dragon Age, but for Origins, it's pretty damn boring, and I just don't want to slog through the Fade again, which we will learn about later, and you will know what I mean. The warrior's pretty good in Origins. I've played it a lot, but as far as the companions, since I know what's coming, I just feel like a rogue is going to be nice. I always love playing as rogues anyway. Whenever I do a D&D campaign, I'm usually a roguish character. I like being able to talk my way out of things, not rely fully on combat, but also use other skills. We may or may not get into traps and bombs in this playthrough, but definitely we're going to be using lockpicking and opening a bunch of chests, so that makes the most sense to me. This is probably the hardest part, because now we have to pick our background. So you'll see that only 2 of them are highlighted. The other 4 are origins for the other races. I wish I could play through all of them for you, because they're all really, really great. The Dwarven Noble origin is one that I absolutely adore if you're just trying to be a shit in this game, because it does have comedic elements, and it's really fun to do. But for the purposes of what is potentially a full-on playthrough of Dragon Age, I'm going to stick with one of these. So we've got the Dalish Elf, which is proud of your role as one of the few true elves. You have always assumed you would spend your life with your tribe, until a chance encounter with a relic of your people's past threatens to tear you away from everything you have ever known. There's also the City Elf storyline, which is you've always lived under the heavy thumb of your human overlords, but when a local lord claiming his privilege with the bride shatters your wedding day, the simmering racial tensions explode in a reign of vengeance. Both of these are my top 2 in general for backgrounds. They're both super, super good. I highly recommend, if you haven't played Origins before, to at least try and slog through the first hour just to experience some of the origin stories. I'm going to go with the Dalish Elf, but I do want to point out that the City Elf storyline is really, really great. I would love to play it in the future. It's also just super fucking dark and sad. And the Dalish Elf storyline also has its sadness, but it also gets kind of more into the lore of the Dragon Age world that the other origin stories don't really delve into, specifically with the main creatures of the game, which are the Darkspawn. And so I really like playing the Dalish Elf storyline as my canonical warden, just because it makes the most sense within the narrative. Like, if I imagine Dragon Age as a script or a book, the Dalish Elf origin story is the one that I always kind of place at the beginning. Well, now I gotta pick a name, and I didn't think about that either. Shit. Well. I'm gonna go with a name. Okay, cool. It's taking me a couple minutes that I've probably cut out so that y'all don't have to sit with me for that long, but I'm gonna go with the name Adelaide, just because it's what's popped in my head. Greetings. And I like it, and if you have a problem, then I'm sorry. Meet Adelaide Mahyrel, and we gotta make their face. So usually I stick with at least a base preset to begin with. Again, it's a game from 2009, and you can see it in the graphics a little bit. It definitely has just a very early 2000s kind of vibe. So I don't feel like there's a ton of options necessarily with the presets. I'm gonna make it kind of quickly just so we can get in and start playing. Okay. Complexion is always really crazy in this game. Like, we can be real weathered if we want. I just feel like our person has obviously lived through a little bit, so some complexion does make sense. Usually I don't really get into, especially in, I don't know, mid-2000s RPGs, I think that the makeup settings are pretty lacking, and so I usually don't pay too much attention to them. In, like, Dragon Age Inquisition, you can really go all out, but in Origins, it's pretty few and far between. The other thing about a Dalish Elf is that by lore in the game, they have tattoos and markings, so we don't have to go with one, but to be a member of the Dalish Elf clan, like, it is something that you have. So for me, I wouldn't fully feel right if we didn't have a tattoo on there. I think I'm gonna go with this one. It seems like I'm vibing with it. So there we go. We can make it a little less in the middle of everything, or we can just really go ham. It's up to us. I'm floundering because I'm trying to figure out what I like. Yeah, I still think that we're gonna stick with, this one. But I'm gonna make it pretty light, so it kind of has just more of like a henna feel than a full-on tattoo. Just because I find with the tattoos, even though for lore reasons it makes sense, having it be just like straight up on your forehead, like that's all I look at when I'm playing. So we've also got a couple different options for hair to pick from. There's not a ton. It's still pretty simplistic. It's not as in depth as it could be, but there's a decent amount. Just kind of depends on what type of character we're feeling here. I don't mind the messier braids. I feel like the Dalish elves live in the woods, kind of in the wild, so I think having something that's not super kept makes a lot of sense. Just depends on how scrappy we want to go. That's not too bad either. Or, because we're in wartime, we can straight up just tie it back. Which I might do. That might actually make the most sense. We're in battle. We don't need our hair flopping around in the wind. Hair color-wise, honestly, I feel like the dark hair makes the most sense for the character as well. Eyebrow color, I don't want to mess with that. Eyebrows. Oh, God, character creation. I forgot about you. I think we're going to stick with... I mean, the preset's the preset for a reason. It's got a better eye for how people actually look, probably, than me. And as obviously, since we're elves, we do have the pointy ears. That is part of the lore in this one. This is just kind of changing the background medallion. I kind of like that it's very neutral. We can pick a voice too. We're not going to hear it much at all. Dragon Age Origins, the other big thing is you have a silent protagonist, which doesn't... I think it adds to the age of the game, just because a lot of games now have a fully voiced main character and you want to be able to hear your character talk. And in this one, you hear them kind of shout in battle, and then you pick their own responses, which is cool for me because I get to read them to you. But as far as immersion, it definitely does take its toll a little bit. It places it strictly in kind of that last gen vibe for sure.
No, it's gone. How do you do?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Greetings.
Well, that didn't work.
Greetings. Charmed. Greetings.
Greetings.
I feel like experienced is...
Well, that didn't work.
I don't know, the least obtrusive way of talking for this character. So we're going to go with that. And I think we've got our warden, Adelaide. Okay, so a rogue, it's pretty damn important to be dexterous, if that's how you say that word, and cunning. So I'm going to place almost everything into those. I'm going to put one into Constitution just so we don't become too squishy. And then we've only got one skill point to spend. This is the skill tree. It's pretty old school as well. Combat training is really nice. Herbalism is good because you can craft your own health stuff. But I always kind of just rush for coercion because I want to be able to talk my way out of stuff. And same deal, deft hands, so I can start opening chests right out the gate. Another thing that I really, really do kind of prefer. Archery is something that I'm probably not going to do because much like being a mage in this game, being an archer is just kind of really slow and cumbersome and sounds a lot cooler than it actually is. So we're mostly going to be sticking with dual weapon stuff. So I'm just going to give myself dual weapon training so that I'm, in general, better at fighting with two little swords. So we've got a couple difficulties. I could play on casual if I really wanted to. We're immune to friendly fire. Normal is just the, normal ass setting. Immune to friendly fire too. We could play hard, which is for the RPG vets. Or we can go nightmare. For those who know no fear, friendly fire inflicts full damage on your party members, which is real bad if you got mages and stuff. But since I've played this a butt ton, and I'm all about embarrassing myself on this channel with my actual lack of gaming skills, especially since I haven't done a playthrough in like 6 years, I'm going to play on Nightmare. So without further ado, let's get into it. I shouldn't have picked Nightmare. I'm regretting it immediately.
You were born amidst the Dalish elves, noble wanderers who refused to join the society of humans that subjugated their homeland so long ago. The Dalish travel the land in tightly knit clans, struggling to maintain their half-forgotten lore in a human world that fears and despises them. You spend your time hunting with your clanmate Tamlin in the forests, and as is sometimes the case, your quarry is not always the local wildlife.
It's a Dalish!
And you three are somewhere you shouldn't be.
Let us pass, Elf. You have no right to stop us.
No? We will see about that, won't we? You're just in time. I found these humans lurking in the bushes. Bandits, no doubt.
We aren't bandits, I swear. Please don't hurt us.
You Shemlin are pathetic. It's hard to believe you ever drove us from our homeland.
We've never done nothing to you, Dalish. We didn't even know this forest was yours.
This forest isn't ours, fool. You've stumbled too close to our camp. You Shems are like vermin. We can't trust you not to make mischief. What do you say, Lethalon? What should we do with them?
Oof, a tough call. Well, I'm not gonna lie, they don't look like bandits. None of them have weapons. They all have very peasant clothes. And they seem a little scared, specifically my boy in the middle. So we've got 4 options. I could kill him. I mean, what do I care? The others will never know. Let him go. Judge humans too harshly. Let's find out what they're doing. Or, could give them a warning. Killing them will only bring trouble. I'm definitely not going to kill him. But I'm just not going to let them walk out either. They are traipsing around for no reason. So, let's ask what they're up to.
Does it matter? Hunting or banditry, we'll need to move camp if we let them live.
Look, we didn't come here to be trouble. We just found a cave.
Yes, a cave. With ruins like I've never seen. We thought there might be,
Treasure? So you're more akin to thieves than actual bandits.
So, if you've been there, you should have the treasure to prove it. Or, I'd like to see these ruins. Or, we know this forest, there are caves, but no ruins. You lie. They seem pretty sincere. And they could have looted it. But I'd like them to take me to this place. Plus, a nice little laugh did never hurt anybody.
So would I. I've never heard of ruins in these parts.
but I have proof. Here, we found this just inside the entrance.
This stone has carvings. Is this Elvish? Written Elvish?
There's more in the ruins. We didn't get very far in, though.
Why not? Or, how did you know that's Elvish, Tamlin? Or, this sounds like a trap. Don't believe it. It's definitely not a trap. Again, these guys look so dumb. Tamlin's an elf, and he's probably studied Elven, I imagine. I, too, am an elf, but I feel like this is more just like, I don't know, lore building. Oh. But why not seems pretty damn carefree. But shit, it's not like I'm playing on Nightmare or anything. Why not?
There was a demon. It was huge with black eyes. Thank the Maker we were able to outrun it.
A demon. Where is this cave?
Just off the west, I think. There's a cave in the rock face and a huge hole just inside.
Well, do you trust them? Shall we let them go?
We could kill one, the others will make sure no one else comes. Or, we frightened them enough and they won't bother us again. Or, if we let them go, they might bring a mob back. We gotta kill them. Well, I feel like if we kill one, that is probably how the mob shows up. They do seem pretty scared. They could bring a mob back. I feel like I'd have to either kill all of them or kill none of them at all. I'm not about to kill them all right out the gate. So, let's just let them be.
Run along then, Shems. And don't come back until we Dalish have moved on.
Of course.
We'd have to
you.
move camp
Thank
anyway
you.
if we killed them all, I feel. So, yeah.
Well, shall we see if there's any truth to this story? These carvings make me curious.
Okay. I'd say a demon does not sound good, but I'm down for an adventure, so sounds like a good idea, my boy Tamlin.
And
Let's
if we
do the
find
thing.
anything, the Keeper will want to know.
It's true. Alright, so now we're in Dragon Age proper. Gotta save. Real important. So Dragon Age is a lot like really any older BioWare game, or any older like semi-open world RPG, which means that it's it's got a pretty strict path that you follow on. But the world, I always like just how very warped it is. It makes you feel like you're kind of in it as opposed to just on essentially rails. Oh, the rats of an RPG tutorial level. But they gave us wolves this time, which is a little bit more. So yeah, Tamlin's a bow boy, so he just hangs out back here.
Right. On your guard!
Which I hate, personally, but so it is. So one of the big things, if you ever pick up Dragon Age, that I didn't realize until about my third playthrough, is the right and left bumpers switch between your characters. I've always loved that about BioWare titles in the past too, is that you can play as not just your avatar, but as any companion that you have with you. But if you hit both bumpers, you control both units, and that's really great, because that way, if you attack something, you actually attack it together. So we just got our first codex entry that at least I noticed in the game. It's about the Brazilian forest. So there are places in the Brazilian forest where the veil is so thin, the difference between awake and dreaming is next to nothing. In one such place, a wood shaper was born under such unfortunate circumstances that his mother named him Abelas, which means sorrow. And he lived up to his name. He could keep no apprentices and lost his stock of bows in mishap after mishap, until finally he had nothing. The rest of the clan would harm them too, and whispered among themselves of casting him out. Abelas heard them and resolved to change his luck, and so went into the forest alone to seek a suitable tree from which to make bows. At last he spied a young rowan growing beside a stream. He drew his axe, and the tree cried out in fear, begging to be spared. But Abelas said, "If I do not take your life, mine surely will end." With 2 strokes he felled the tree. From the tree he made the finest 3 bows he had ever crafted. Pleased, Abelas returned to the camp and gave his bows to the hunters at once. By nightfall, however, the camp was in uproar. The hunters had returned with braces of hairs which, when cut open, revealed only worms and sawdust. The elder said that it was a sign that the hunters had robbed some spirit of its host, for it is well known that spirits do not go about the waking world on their own, but inhabit another creature's body. The elder worked a charm to banish the spirits back to the Fade, and the clan went to sleep hungry. The next day, the hunters brought back a doe, and again the beast bled sawdust. Now the clan began to fear the spirit would starve them, and wondered what they had done to deserve it. Abelas came forward then, and told of the rowan tree. The elder considered for a long time before declaring that they must replace what Abelas had taken from the spirit. So he sent the hunters to dig up a rowan sapling and bring it, living, to the camp. There the elder ordered the sapling planted and appealed to the spirit for forgiveness. There was a terrible sound then, as if the whole forest were crying out in protest. Darkness fell upon the camp, though it was just past midday. And when the darkness passed, a rowan grove, every tree bearing the frozen face of a terrified elf, stood where the camp had been. From then on, it was forbidden in every clan to cut living trees in the Brazilian forest. The spirit knows nothing of forgiveness. So I probably should have said it earlier, but I super love the codex entries in Dragon Age, and since I'm doing a playthrough where I'm recording it and throwing it up on YouTube, I figured might as well actually read these for once, like all the way through. Usually if I would see something as long as this, I would be like, cool, and I'm done. But I feel like this is a good excuse for me to actually get through a lot of these codex entries. And it really is a treasure trove for lore in the game. So I figure I'll read those. If you want to hear more or less of that stuff, feel free to just give me a comment and I will scour the world more for codex entries or not. Right now I'd say I'll probably just read whenever I really feel like it's necessary. But especially in the prologue chapters, a lot of that stuff is really good to kind of get us kind of set and ready. Got some elf fruit. Wonderful. You can use elf fruit once we have herbalism to make potions, which is going to be super helpful on Nightmare. But it's not a really big part of the game. In Dragon Age Inquisition, elf fruit is like the end-all be-all of every aspect ever.
This must be the cave. I don't recall seeing this before, do you?
No, I don't. Let's check it out. Or no, I don't think we should go in alone. Or no, and that worries me. We should be wary. I mean, we're already here, so we're definitely going in. But I'm not trying to just bump in all willy-nilly. I like that I'm covered in blood. It means that I'm ready for a battle, but might as well be cautious, so let's be wary.
Always the careful one. Fine, but I'm not running back until I know there's something worth making a fuss over. Come on, let's at least see what's there. How dangerous could it be?
Alright, so we are about to head into the fancy, forbidden, creepy-ass caves. This is probably a good spot to end off for the first episode. Let me know what you think in the comments about just Dragon Age in general. I absolutely love it, but since it is an older game, I'm curious about if anybody else has really spent time with it. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.